Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, that subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now today's first story comes from Aromatic Cow 8170 and says, am I the arsehole for cancelling my brother's wedding venue reservation after he uninvited me? So I, 37 male, have a younger brother, Tom, 26 male, who's getting married in 3 months. A year ago, when he and his fiancée were planning their wedding, they were struggling to find an affordable venue. I own a vacation property with a large yard that's been used for a couple of small weddings before. So I offered it to him as a wedding venue, rent-free. My only condition was that I wanted to be a part of the wedding party, which he agreed to. Everything seemed fine. Last week, Tom and I got into a small argument. It really wasn't a big deal, but a couple of days later, he texted me and said he and his fiancée decided to downsize their wedding party, and I was no longer going to be a groomsman. I was shocked because I thought this was set in stone a year ago. I called him to ask what was going on, and he said it wasn't personal, just that they wanted to keep things small and intimate and didn't feel like they needed me in the wedding party. I was pretty hurt, but I didn't say anything at the time. Then it occurred to me, if I'm not important enough to be in his wedding party, why should I host a wedding at my place? So I called him again and told him that since I wasn't going to be a part of the wedding, they'd need to find another venue. Now Tom and his fiancée are furious. They say they can't afford another venue at this point and that I'm ruining their big day. My parents are also upset and say I should just let it go and still host the wedding. I feel like I was doing them a huge favor, and they essentially uninvited me from being a part of the most important day of their lives. I don't think I'm wrong to retract my offer, but now everyone's making me feel guilty. So am I the arsehole for cancelling the venue? Edits. This blew up way more than I thought it would. Check my messages after work today and holy crap. To answer a few questions I'm seeing repeatedly. 1. Why did I need to offer to loan out my vacation house to be in the wedding? Opie says my brother and I had a little bit of a rocky relationship most of his life. Our age difference has always been an awkward amount, and I think he's jealous of my success in life too. He's done okay, but I've climbed the corporate ladder pretty quickly in finance, and I think a lot of girls he's dated have had crushes on me. Being his older brother and the more successful one, and that bothers him. He picks small things to get mad at me about because of his jealousy, and I felt like if I made it a condition of lending out my place, he would let me be in his wedding. 2. What did you get into an argument about? He got upset at me because he thinks I don't do enough with our parents, but I travel for my job, so it's harder for me to be there in person. I also help them out financially, which he never considers as helping out. They haven't saved as much as they probably should and are getting closer to retirement, so I help them out with some bills so they can put more money in their 401k accounts instead, but I guess that isn't enough. He always finds something to say I'm doing wrong. 3. Are you still invited to the wedding? Technically, he only said I'm not in the wedding party, but it feels like such a slap in the face at this point, and it definitely feels like he doesn't want me there. I tried to talk to him again to see what the real issue is because downsizing seems like BS to me. If I'm being completely honest for myself, I found that the start of this post really weird that, you said you own this vacation property, other people have used it before, so you offered it to your brother rent-free, but there was a condition to it. You said yourself that you wanted to be in the wedding party, which he then agreed to, which is kind of saying to me that if you're having to make a condition to be in the wedding party, then something isn't quite right in your relationship in some way. I know you explained in the edit some things going on, but then why would you want to be in the wedding? Why would you want to be in the wedding party after that if you know your relationship is somewhat strained? But at the same time, they accepted this condition and went along with it, and then it felt like, once they did get the place, that they were just going to find an excuse to not have you a part of the wedding party. It just feels messy. But a commenter says, I'm curious. Why didn't your brother ask you to be in the wedding to begin with? You say you made it a condition for him to use your property and he agreed. Why would it be a condition? If he didn't ask you even before the property was offered, why? Do you two not really get along or not that close? What was this argument about? Now you say it wasn't a big deal, but maybe you don't think so, but he does. What happened? For him to make up that excuse, which you know that is the deal, tells me he didn't want you in the wedding party to begin with. In that regard, I don't blame you. I think you need to elaborate regarding your relationship with your brother. Lizab says petty, just like you should be. It was an agreement between the two of you. Venue rent-free, but you were part of the wedding party. Your brother decided to punish you the wrong way. As long as he took back his part of your contract, you're no longer forced to honor your part. But it's too late for them to find something. You should tell them that as long as your brother can't honor his part of the deal, you're okay for them to do the venue at the same place, but for X amount. Payable right now because, well, the confidence is broken. Maybe it'll force your brother to tell you the real reason why he doesn't want you anymore in his wedding. Winter Series says, I think it's weird as fuck you tried to bargain yourself into the wedding, but they didn't have to agree. Sleep replies saying, this dude gives weird vibes, doesn't get along with his brother but offered his property to force himself into the wedding party. Then his explanation of why they don't get along is, I'm so rich, handsome and successful, he's jealous, giving narcissistic vibes. Notice how he immediately said they couldn't use the venue when they said you're not a groomsman, despite still being invited. And the dude still has no idea why his brother doesn't like him. Every caterpillar says everyone sucks here, something smells fishy here. The fact it was your condition to be in the wedding party to use your venue tells me your brother wouldn't have asked you on his own to be in the party and you knew that. This tells me the relationship between you and your brother is not really that good, at least on his side. Why else would you need to force yourself into the party if you guys were close and he would have chosen you as a groomsman anyway? You obviously want to be closer with him than he is comfortable, and this speaks volumes honestly. You are not the asshole per se to refuse them your venue, but I think you should rethink your decision. This will most likely kill the last remaining chance to better your relationship with him. So if you want to be a part of his future, think twice about burning bridges. Also, I think a better way to better your relationship with your brother would have been reflecting on why you're not his natural first choice of groomsman. Only you know what happened between you guys and why he isn't too fond of you. And try to make amends, not trying to force yourself into his wedding party. Yeah, I just agree with that comment. It's just, the whole thing seems so weird to me. I'm just trying to picture that conversation between the brothers. Yeah, you can use my place as your wedding venue, but as long as you have me as a groomsman, how does that conversation happen? To me, it just seems like a really weird thing to say, but OP said, okay, so if anyone wants to see my original post, then shares the link. I was having a hard time believing my brother when he told me they were downsizing the wedding party just to make it more intimate, but that's all he kept saying when I would ask for the real reason. In all honesty, my brother and I aren't that close, which I'm sure is obvious from my last post. After my emotions settled down a bit, I told my brother I wanted to talk to him. He wasn't responding to me, so I said I wanted to talk to him about potentially letting them still use my vacation home. Not totally the truth, but it seemed like a good way to get him to talk. He finally responded, but said I couldn't come over. He would only meet me somewhere public, which seemed weird. We ended up meeting at a bar late last night that I liked near my place, and I straight up just asked why he was really kicking me out of his wedding. I would only consider letting him use my vacation house if he told me the truth. He was getting pretty fidgety and looking away from me, and finally told me the truth. Apparently his fiancée heard that I may do a bit of cocaine here and there for fun, and she told him that she didn't want a crackhead in her wedding. He said he actually kind of agreed with her and was disappointed in what I was doing. I told him if I'm too much of a crackhead to be there, then they really shouldn't want to use a crackhead's house for their wedding, and I left. I don't really see how it impacts them what I do in my free time, but I really don't care to be there now, if that's what they think of me. I haven't said a word to him since, but I'm guessing I won't be hearing from him again soon. And the majority of the comments were like, not the arsehole in the very end of this. I'm kind of still on the fence with more of a everyone sucks here, and Kodu Chaos pretty much summed it up for me. They said, I'm going to go against the grain and say everyone sucks here. And no, I'm not factoring cocaine into my decision. What other people put into their bodies is none of my business. Your brother is the arsehole because he booted you out of the wedding party but thought he could still use your venue. He's too good to have his crackhead brother in his wedding, but not too good to have his wedding at a crack house. That's shitty. But you two are the arsehole because you tried to buy your way into your brother's wedding. You said yourself that you aren't close. If you wanted a closer relationship, put in the work. It's not worth the work. Don't resort to bribery. That's not a good look. But now, I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from Ex-Deserted from the Marriage subreddit saying, wife pregnant after vasectomy. I had my vasectomy in November of 2023. My primary care doctor recommended his personal urologist to do the procedure. Tested my sperm 3 months after the procedure and was told by the clinic that I was 100% sterile. I asked if I needed to return for a second test to be sure and was told no, that I'm good. Fast forward to this morning. My wife wakes up at 6 a.m. holding a positive pregnancy test. Neither of us are upset per se, but we were both over the fact that we wouldn't be having more kids. We currently have a boy 10 and a girl 7. We're both 37 years old and just kind of anxious and not sure what to think now. I'm going to get my sperm tested again and already messaged my urologist. My wife is making an appointment to have a blood test done to confirm. Any thoughts or just comments would be appreciated. We're both just sort of shocked considering how unlikely this is to happen. Deadcord says, wouldn't she attempt to hide the pregnancy from you and undergo an abortion if she was cheating? Vasectomies don't always take. I mean, you really only have one choice here. Get tested again. If you're sterile, find a lawyer and request a paternity test. Opie says that's the plan of action and agreed. It wouldn't be something she's open about. She even mentioned a few days ago being worried about her period being late, so I highly doubt that's the case. Deadcord replies saying, I agree, that was my first thought. If you're cheating and concerned about a pregnancy, you don't openly discuss it with your spouse and show them a pregnancy test you've taken. Wish you both the best. Opie responding to a commenter who says, they wouldn't doubt the wife because her actions are saying not cheating. Opie says agreed, and I do trust her. We've been through quite a bit in our marriage, so trust has been earned, I guess you could say. We both know we love each other, and this is a huge surprise and challenge to our marriage and family. One that I hope we are ready at the ripe age of 37. Lol. Jazzy Jane says, ripe old age of 37. Had my first baby at 36. You'll be fine as long as you commit to communicating with your wife. 12 days later, Opie comes back in and says, I received my semen analysis today and boy, do I have news. Sperm was present in the sample. 1.5 million per milliliter. 4.40 million total motile per 4.4 milliliters of ejaculate. I can't believe this happened to us. I'm in shock, as is my doctor. He said he hasn't seen a case like this in 30 years. He's been a urologist and is offering to do the surgery again for free. He thinks it's possible one of the tubes reconnected, so I guess I'm a dad again. Thanks to everyone who's been supportive with their comments and suggestions. My wife has her ultrasound in a few weeks and I'd be lying if I said I wasn't excited. It just reconnected? What the hell? Man, I gotta do some research. You learn something new every day here. But Piece of That Fancy Feast says, love that the sub generally got this one right. Congrats. Our youngest is also 7 and she would be so ecstatic. Opie says, lol, thank you so much. I haven't told my kid yet, but I will after we confirm the ultrasound. Old Soul says, I'm invested now and so happy you're happy. Updates once the kiddos react. Opie says, I keep updating for sure. I don't mind sharing positive news at all. It's fun to discuss with strangers. Funny enough, most of our family and friends still don't know about this, but a bunch of friendly people on Reddit know about it. Gotta love it. Seaworthiness says, so glad you didn't go in guns ablaze about her cheating on you. Congrats on the surprise. Opie says, I would never. That would have ended our marriage and I would feel like a complete dumbass right now. Traditional says, such a logical, well-rounded way of dealing with this. I'm happy for you. I'm excited for Opie as well and their family, of course. The way that they're saying about how they're excited, I think that's absolutely amazing. Especially like when originally it sounds like they want to put a stop to having any more children. So I'm glad for your family that you're all happy and you're rolling with it. And I really wish you all the best going forward with the pregnancy as well. I hope things go as smoothly as they can. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from the Am I Overreacting subreddit by Experience7433 and says, Am I overreacting because I'm mad my husband didn't stand up for me when his friend called me gross, fat, and a turkey? We were having dinner last night at a friend's house whom I've only met a few times. My husband has recently been hanging out with more. While holding our 10-month-old on my lap, my husband showed his friend pictures from our wedding last summer. I was 37 weeks pregnant and had gained 35 pounds at that point. The friend looks at the photo and says, "Oh, gross. What happened to you? Your face is so fat. You look like a fat turkey." I tried to calmly explain to him what happens to your body when you are that heavily pregnant. Big stomach, bloating, water retention, etc. He wasn't interested in listening and just went on laughing and repeating similar insults. I looked at my husband and he just laughed along with him. I went and put our baby to bed and cried myself to sleep. My husband has never stood up for me when people have said mean things to me. I told him I need him to do that. He always has excuses and promises he will next time. He never does. I can't stand him anymore and want him to get the hell out of the house. Am I overreacting? What grown-ass adult says that kind of thing? Looking at someone's wedding photos and you're saying that about a pregnant woman? Well, anyone saying that about anyone is just fucking disgusting. And then your husband to laugh along with it? Yeah, absolutely, you should be pissed off. I'm boiling up thinking about someone saying that to a loved one in front of me. You know, I'm not a violent person, but holy moly, this one's pushing me to the edge. OP came in a day later and was answering some questions. They said, "Thank you everyone who has commented. I want to answer a few questions that come up repeatedly. Why did I not defend myself? What I needed at that time was only something my husband could provide. No violence, yelling, swearing, or name calling. I just needed him to say, 'I thought you looked beautiful on our wedding day, babe.' I would have said thank you, had a laugh, and we would have moved on with our evening. I needed to feel like a team, like he had my back. I don't care about others' opinions of me. I care about my husband's. Why did I marry and have a child with this man? That's a tough one, as I love my son and I can't imagine a life without him in it. But yes, my husband and I met, fell in love, created a life together, wanted the same lifestyle, created dreams and worked on achieving them together. Yes, I was naive, but I have a hard time right now articulating how I feel inside when I ask myself this question. If you don't understand, I apologize. We'll have to explain it one day to my son when he is older. Hopefully, it is easier then. I want to add that yesterday I was living in a cloud of rage and said things on this thread and in my personal life out of anger. I really just feel empty and broken. I'm trying to process everything, but it is tough. I talk about this in the comments, but I should have added this here. Similar incidents have happened before and my husband does not have my back or will join in with a person who is belittling me. I've explained to him how it hurts me and what I need from him in the future. He always says he will, but when the next time comes, he does not. I'm at my wit's end. We attempted therapy, but just I have continued it. And yes, this is just one of several issues in our marriage. The update. My husband is living at a friend's, but they have a family, so I don't know how long that will last. I don't know his plan. My parents are handling our communication. They want me to take a few days to calm down, then reevaluate how I feel and go from there. For the sake of my child, I will, but as of now, I do not want to continue this marriage. My husband came over to the house for 2 hours to spend time with our son. My mum and I gave them space and left the house. Whatever my husband lacks in love towards me, he certainly has for our son. They adore each other, and I would never want them to not see each other. As for the friend, well, I guess my husband called him and gave him my number, because he called me several times and sent me texts saying to call him. I sent him a message saying, "My issue is not with you. I do not want to talk to anyone today, thank you." He then drove over to my house where I was alone with my baby. I repeated what I said and asked him to leave. He did. He ended up texting me an apology. I accepted it and left it at that. And then there were a bunch of comments which came from OP in the thread below. They said, "I'm 5'7", 135 pounds. I also pay for everything and bail my husband out financially. So yes, I will be alone with my skinny self, my baby and my money, and no deadweight husband. Thank you, I will do that. Next comment says, honestly, all I wanted my husband to say was, I thought my wife looked beautiful. I'm so happy we still got to have a wedding and she married me despite being so heavily pregnant. That was a happy day for us. Even just something along those lines would have made me happy. Next commenter says, I do suspect my husband has talked poorly about me behind my back, but can't confirm. I can confirm though that this friend is very blunt and speaks without thinking kind of personality, so I don't know. Next commenter says, there are other problems. I pay for everything. He's a deadweight. No, I'm done. Next commenter says, and that's how it should be. But no, my husband enjoys jokes at my expense. Calling me a whale while pregnant. Mooing at me while pumping for food for our child. What the fuck, man? Really? Oinking at me while I'm eating after giving birth. I could go on and on. I like to joke and everything too, but people's bodies should be off limits. Jesus. Oh, wow. What a fucking scumbag. I'm lost for words. The sad thing is that I did bounce back right after birth, mainly due to my husband saying shit like that lady did to you. Mainly due to my husband saying shit like that lady did to you. He would literally deny me food, call me a pig if my plate had lots of food on it, tell me I'm eating too much, etc. Lost all 38 pounds in 2 months and felt like I was going to collapse every day. Unfortunately, we've had this conversation numerous times and I've told him plain and simple what I need from him in order to have a marriage with him. He never changes. What else can one do but divorce at this point? Absolutely leaving that person is the right thing to do. He's abusive. And definitely be keeping an eye on your child if he's visiting him, etc. Because you don't want that kind of shit to be passed on, that kind of mindset to be passed on to your child as well. Holy moly. Absolute well rid of him. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Much love.